they have their own, the entire structure to make their own law. So if it is not their focus, there's nothing you can do.
Now let's come to something that is even more big, in the picture, talking about the issue of terrorism, still a violent crime, and we've had our fair share of it in the past a few years now, especially in the northern part of the country. But looking at the Law Reform Commission, what can you say about these unfortunate incidents? Do we have laws that can actually fight terrorism in this country? Are they adequate enough?
You see, there is the Anti-Terrorism Act that was passed by the National Assembly some time ago. And I think it is also being amended. The proposal had come to law reform. Now, we made an input in that bill. And like I said, it is still, I think it is still, there are still efforts to amend it again. You see, those legislations, if adequately enforced, could reduce the rate. Now, you see, crimes cannot really be prevented by just legislations. There is attitudinal change. But the essence of law is just to reduce the rate. So if the legislations that we have on ground, you see, I wouldn't say we don't have adequate legislations. The laws that are on ground, if properly implemented, definitely it will reduce the rate of the crime. You see, our problem in Nigeria is not the legislations, it is the implementations.
Now, I want to take you to our prisons now. Of course, not even talking about the issue of prison decongestion, which is another issue, but looking at the reforms, concerning our prison system. Whenever a jail offender, or whenever an offender actually is sent to the prisons, we expect him that he goes there, he serves his time, no doubt. But you expect that the prisons will try and remold such an individual, make him a better person. But some of them just it doesn't work for some of them. They come out even worse off. Do you think there's a problem with our reformatory system, concerning the prisons?
See, there has been some recent research which shows that the prisons do not reform people as much as it was the thinking then. Indeed, I know that the Nigerian Bar Association have some proposals before the National Assembly for a different approach, that the emphasis should no longer be on custodial sentencing, but there should be provisions were made for community service, for parole, and for so many other modes of punishment, instead of relying so much on this custodial sentencing. Now, we have also, as a commission, we have recently, and we're still working on even ways of trying to expedite trial proceedings, because we all know that our judicial process appears quite slow. Offenses that would have been completed in 6 months, you discover it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Let me say this, if you look at even some of these governors that were taken to court on some of these political cases, either fraud and financial crimes, you discover few have been convicted by regular courts. Few that went through this plea bargain were those that were convicted. But those that went through regular trials, apart from Alamezia, I wouldn't remember readily any other former governor that has been convicted for any of the offenses that they are being alleged to have committed.
Now, Mr. Magaji, as a federal commissioner, what's the day like for you, whenever you set out to achieve the business of the day as a federal commissioner for the Law Reform Commission? And of course, where do you see the commission, within the next 1 year?
The fact that your mandate is to see how the law becomes current is exciting. You see, because people are not meant for the law, but the law is meant for the people. It is our duty to ensure that the law always copes up with the development and growth in the society. That is an onerous assignment. So if you look at the history behind it, you discover in those years past, judges were churning out judgments that were not necessarily as provided by law, but what was the justice of the circumstance. It was necessary, therefore, that the law should be adjusted to meet up with the justice of the times. And as the system grew, there was a need for an agency to be vested with that responsibility of trying to ensure that the law grows up to meet the society. And that is how law reform came into being. Law reform as an agency came into being. I think this is growth, but orderly conduct within the framework of the growth.
Well, I guess this is where we have to draw the curtain on this discussion. Mr. Kefas Musa Magaji, Federal Commissioner, Nigerian Law Reform Commission. We thank you so much again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Our guest, Mr. Kefas Magaji, believes efforts should be geared towards amending both the criminal and penal code laws in order to bring Nigeria at par with other advanced jurisdictions of the modern-day world. Let's take, for example, an offense of a sexual nature, called rape. Now, in the United States, rape can be committed by both the male and the female. But here in Nigeria, our legal system says only the male folk can commit rape. Perhaps that's one area which will need to be addressed by the National Assembly, and quickly too. Now, in reforming some of our laws, if not many of them, we as Nigerians must make sure they suit our age-long customs and traditions, and not lose sight of the fact that we are somewhat a peculiar people with our own beliefs and cultures which we hold dear even in the era of modernization. Now, from our discussion with the Federal Commissioner, implementation of its recommendations seems to be the major challenge it's had to grapple with over the years. But it is hoped that with a stable democratic government in place, there will be synergy with other ministries, state governments, state houses of assembly, and of course the National Assembly to reforming Nigeria's laws and indeed the Constitution. Well, that's our package for this week. Don't forget that you can send us your questions, suggestions, and comments to questiontime@channelstv.com or watch us also online at channelstv.com. Till next week, I'm Ayotunde Balogun. It's bye for now.